Okay, good evening. It's April 15th. It is 5:37 p.m. I'm going to call the Pawnee Business Council special meeting to order. At this time, I will like to give the invocation, if you would all rise. Now, at Dios te da, Savior Jesus Christ, we come to you this evening, leaders of our nation, dear Heavenly Father, and ask that you go before us, dear Heavenly Father. Give us the ability to open our eyes, our mind, our hearts, dear Heavenly Father. Be with those Pawnee relatives that have lost loved ones, dear Heavenly Father, the family of Brett Ivers, dear Heavenly Father, Barry Horse Chief, and our Pawnee relative, Duncan Primo, dear Heavenly Father, lying in state at the nation. Please overlook us, where we might have shortcomings, dear Heavenly Father, and continue to let us conduct this meeting in a good manner, dear Heavenly Father. Thank you for this beautiful day. Be with our family, friends, and the rest of our Pawnee tribal members, wherever you may find them, dear Heavenly Father. Ask that you continue to give us this good weather and continue to give us the mind, the heart, and the inspiration to continue to lead our Pawnee people, dear Heavenly Father. Make these good decisions for the benefit of us all, dear Heavenly Father. Asking you all these things and giving you all the glory in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen. Okay. Roll call.
Misty Nuttall.
Here.
Jordan Canujo.
Here.
George Gardapi here. Carol Chapman.
Here.
Cynthia Butler.
Here.
Donna Hare.
Teacher Cook.
Dean Evans.
Here.
Sammy Kimball.
Here.
Okay, item number 3, approval of the agenda. Any changes, edits, revisions?
I have one change under item number 8, executive session. We're going to take out number 1, discussion and or action on Region 6 safety update.
Okay. Any other additions? Hearing none, we'll call for a motion to approve the agenda with changes.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion on the floor by Secretary Gardapi. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a second by Vice President Canujo. Let's call for the vote.
Jordan Canujo.
Yes.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman.
Yes.
Cynthia Butler.
Yes.
Donna Hare. Gene Evans.
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
And I just want to let tribal membership know that the reason this item was removed was because we were notified today by the EPA that they were going to do an update call on the 17th, this Thursday, and update us on their decision to withdraw their previous decision. And this was going to be done by Randy G., and we are looking for correspondence to see when this call will be rescheduled. So this will be put on the agenda at a later date. Okay. Item number 4, approval of minutes. Item number 1, approval of Pawnee Business Council special meeting minutes for March 25th, 2025. Are there any changes, revisions, edits?
I did make some changes. They're in the packet, and they're also updated online. If you guys have a chance to look at those. But those are all the changes I had.
Are there any substantial changes, or is it just edits, grammatical?
It's grammatical, and there's some misspellings and just spelling out what DEI is. I mean, they're just a few little things. But nothing to change the content.
And Jamie, are you in receipt of the changes? Okay. Does anybody else have any comments to the minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes with Secretary Gardapi's recommended changes.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Evans. Let's call for the vote.
Jordan Canujo.
Yes.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman.
Yes.
Cynthia Butler.
Yes.
Donna Hare. Gene Evans.
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Item number 2, approval of Pawnee Business Council meeting minutes for April 1, 2025.
Same. I went through those as well, and there's just a couple of changes that I had.
Any other edits, revisions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve with changes. Yes, Councilwoman Butler.
I just have a question on the motion for item number 65. It doesn't say, it just says that there's a motion to amend the agenda, but there's not any mention of what that, is that just what's up there on top just to replace? Maybe we should just mention that with the or renaming of the resolutions, or reassigning resolutions for the agenda items. Is that?
I didn't hear you.
To rename or to reassign, what do? We reassign the resolution numbers. And that's all I have.
Okay. Is that good? Or-
To reassign.
Oh,
the
she just
resolution
said to
numbers for the
reassign
next
resolution numbers. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes with changes.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by Secretary Gardapi. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Councilwoman Butler. Let's call for the vote.
Jordan Canuho,
Yes.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Uh-huh.
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes. Okay, item number 5, Pawnee Business Council travel report and request. Are there any travel requests at this time? Hearing none, I have a little bit of a travel report. I plan to do a written report and have it to you in the morning. The first, let's see, let me get my dates here. March the 26th. Yeah, March the 26th, I attended the Oklahoma Indian Tax Alliance meeting in Quapaw, Oklahoma at the Downstream Resort. And that meeting was, we had an update from the Turnpike Authority. Seems to be, they are a continued item. And then with that information, however, we've seen the news come out that the decision on Governor Stitt and his ability to collect data for the turnpike tolls. So we are continuing to look at a strategy. We did discuss, me and the tax director did discuss coming up with a strategy plan, and he was going to present that to council. However, in light of the decision, it looks to be like we're going to extend that, and then it'll be presented at the next council meeting. That was the biggest takeaway from that. There were updates from, the Turnpike Authority, and then I forget what you call them. They're a group that's been, I don't know if they're contracted, but they report to the Oklahoma Tax Alliance, and they're legislative analysts and watch the legislation that comes out, informed us of the 2 bills that were getting ready to be voted on. They really attend the Native caucuses, and I took her card, and hopefully we can contact them since we do, have that missing gap in our service for legislative analysis to see whether or not we can contract for their services to keep us abreast as to what's going on at the Capitol. And they are in the area locally, so it does make it efficient for them to be able to do this job. And then report to us if there's legislation that comes through at different times of the night, as we've seen different midnight riders try to get passed through on bills. So I think having them on board would be very beneficial for us in order to stay abreast of everything that's occurring at the federal level and the state level. We have an intergovernmental affairs committee. However, we really don't have a lot of resources to do a lot of representation at the state capitol, and this would allow us to have somebody boots on the ground and able to bring us back that vital and sometimes, urgent information in order to be prepared for future actions stemming from the state or the governor's office, and then even on the federal side. The next week, I attended the Tribal Public Health Conference, and we had a couple of different representatives from the Pawnee Nation, however, in various capacities. Our Health and Community Services Division Director was on a panel to discuss CHAP implementation, and did a very good effort in, conveying to others the challenges and the barriers that we face in trying to incorporate or implement CHAP into our healthcare programs. It's not only necessarily for that, but also being able to bridge those gaps within our healthcare delivery system, whether it's community health, whether it's behavioral health, mental health, and the ways that different tribes are utilizing that program in order to address the healthcare needs of their tribal members. There were other various panels, and I believe even Jeremy Fields had a panel that he was on. Mikai Clark had a panel that she sat on. Let's see, there was another one. I believe Jasha Echohawk also was there for maternal health. So a lot of different areas and a lot of expertise that we're able to cover through attending the conference and then networking with these individuals who also do consulting through their other companies as well. The next item or the next conference was the self-governance conference, and this was attended by myself and Executive Director Virgil Wade, who is new to the Pawnee Nation and began last week. However, was attending the conference, and so his first official day in the office was yesterday, so we do welcome Mr. Wade. In attending the conference, we were able to also attend the Tribal Self-Governance Advisory Committee Oklahoma delegation as they met with the federal officials and let them know of our concerns. They did have 3 topics in the areas that they were discussing with them, and again, pleading for tribal consultation when the Indian Health Service, or DHHS, addresses those shortfalls within the areas of facility sanitation and construction. And then also to continue to work to inform the Indian Health Service, the tribal direct service tribes, the urban areas, and continue to inform them on the National Certification Board for CHAP, which is totally driven by the tribes. However, the governing document of it, or the IHS circular, is being developed by feds only, so they continue to advocate for inclusion in those areas. In meeting with IHS on the side, our side meetings, I was able to talk with Mr. Travis Scott, and we have had concerns that have needs that need to be addressed within our housekeeping and grounds maintenance program. And then on the DOI side, be able to look into social services and see how we can address the areas of non-beneficiaries. We had a situation where a non-Pawnee member came to the nation looking for resources, and per our amendment, it was, conveyed to us that there is a non-Indigenous share. And so through that non-Indigenous share, that not only means non-Pawnees, but it means non-native or other tribes within our area or within our jurisdiction. So looking at ways to address that, I had questions from the Health and Community Services Director that I was able to meet with the Office of Self-Governance Director on. There are some changes within the federal department on both sides because of the the offer to do early retirement. So they're looking at who's going to fill those positions. Another thing to note was also at the TSGAC meeting with the Oklahoma delegation that there was concern of these other federal agencies who have had to transition their employees, and the overall feeling was that they were being pushed into our IHS system without, of course, tribes having any kind of consultation, because you're getting other employees that are career employees, and they're coming into the Indian Health Service. However, it may not be for a need that's, specifically addresses our priorities. So again, advocating for tribal consultation and wanting to be at the table, be at the forefront, and advocate for those types of decision making. And so that's, the importance of being there at those meetings. Also being able to network and see if there were areas that we could utilize or get with tribes. I know one person that we had met with was from the Fort Peck area, and she had even expressed some concern with the wildfires that they have up there up north. And she had indicated that, she previously used to work with the Pawnees and their wildfire crew that they used to have previously. So just asked to see if we would look into that and those type of areas, and said she would be willing to contract with us or available for consultation in order to get that need up and running again. And I believe that was the gist of the conference. And then I sat on the chat panel and was able to discuss, it talked about cultural barriers and why tribal leaders need to be at the table in developing their program. So I talked about our challenges and things that were concerning in our area, and how we have, basically a medical hub that's right here that we need to take advantage of and develop our healthcare system around the areas where we are not able to get our needs met by IHS or by DOI. So incorporating all of that and having, all the key players at the table will be beneficial for us, so all the needs don't fall through the cracks. Important to have community buy-in, important to communicate what actually CHAP is and what it can do to benefit our community. So a lot of those things were discussed. Myself, the Wichita and Wichita affiliated tribes vice president was there, and then I believe he was from Fort Peck. I can't recall his name, but he was also the tribal leader for Fort Peck. And that actually is where they have their CHAP symposium. I believe it's in May next month. So that's my report. Any questions? If not, and hearing no travel requests, we'll move on to item number 6, Pawnee Business Council committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Yes, Councilwoman Hare.
Okay, so our Land Use and Property Committee is going to be postponed. It's scheduled for tomorrow. We have a number of deaths in the tribe, and so it's going to be postponed, and we will reschedule later this month. Intergovernmental Affairs will be working with what President Nuttall had brought up on the agenda on the safety issue, and we will be discussing that at our next meeting.
Thank you for that. Any other committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 7, new business. Item number 1, budget committee recommendations. Treasurer Chapman?
Yes. Is it up on the screen? Are we going to show it? Or you just want me to?
Do you have
Okay,
the
there we go.
information? Okay.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Yes, I will present on this one budget item that we had. This was presented by Rhonda James in Budget Committee, and it was from Program 1065, Transportation and Safety, which is a tribal budget, and the funding source of $25,000 came from a tribal contract legal settlement. And what it did was it increased supplies in 1065-6401 by 25,000. And in the justification, it shows that the 25,000 is recovery of funds in a legal settlement to be added to the program. And then the additional explanations as to why we're doing it now is that the funds were received in 2024, but we did have no approved budget modification on file. So one was completed in 2025 for 2024, and this one is for 2025. Then as you go on down into the actual line items here, you can see where it has been placed into equipment, the 25,000 has, and the original budget was for $50,887. Adding the $25,000 for supplies brings the total budget, new budget, to $75,887. And then as we go on down to the, can you scroll? Yeah. On down to the justifications, it has all right here. It's got the supply justification and how these funds will be expended on transportation, operations, education, and safety. So, does anybody have any further comments or questions? If not, I will make a motion to pass this one.
I got a motion on the floor by Treasurer Chapman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
The second by Councilwoman Butler. If no questions, we'll call for the vote.
Jordan Canuho,
Yes.
George Carter, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare, Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Okay, item number 2, approval of resolution 2520, Pawnee Nation Housing Authority Commissioner removal. Who will be presenting? Anybody? Okay.
I can present this for the commissioners. So they had one of the commissioners that was missing and getting unexcused absences, and according to our bylaws and according to our, what is it called, committee commissions and boards handbook, they can be removed by council for unexcused absences. And so the commission has drafted a letter, sent that to the council, and they're just making this request to have him formally removed so that we can get it advertised and get a commissioner in.
I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2520.
I've got a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Kimball. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Evans. If no further questions, we'll, Vice President.
I did have some revisions that I submitted today. I didn't know if the council had a chance to look at it. Basically, it's more just going into detail for the resolution, just bringing in language from the bylaws for subsection 1, given the reasoning for the removal, and then under the, next to the last whereas, in the committees, commission, and boards, bylaws subsection 9.1, which states that the council has the authority to remove a commissioner, and then just kind of redid some language on the final whereas. The commission has voted to request the Pawnee Business Council to remove this commissioner from the Pawnee Nation Housing Authority Board due to unexcused absences and to be in compliance with the Pawnee Nation bylaws, housing bylaws, and request this action to be effective immediately, just so that there's more, I guess, clarity for historical purposes.
I'll make the motion to approve 2520 with revised changes. Thank you.
Okay, hold on just a second. On the last whereas, so is this your changes in the red then? Okay, on that last whereas, it says the commission voted to request, can we get the date in there of that meeting? Okay, voted on.
It's in the third whereas. Pawnee Nation Housing Authority Board of Commissioners met in a regular scheduled meeting on April 8th. The third whereas.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was noted in there. Okay, I got a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Kimball. to approve with changes.
I
Is
will
there a
second.
second? So, Dr. Evans, okay, let's call for the
Second,
vote.
second.
Jordan Canuho,
Yes.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Abstain?
Donna Hare,
Oh,
Dean Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Okay, item number 8, we have the executive session. And this will be for approval of Resolution 2521 to request for NARF assistance on force fee patent.
Motion to go into executive session?
Second?
Got a motion by Vice President Canuho and second by Councilwoman Butler. Let's call for the vote.
Jordan Canuho,
Yes.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
oh.
Dean Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Okay,
6:02.
6:02 PM. one resolution that was assigned. We will now reassign Resolution 2521 to the FOIA resolution, and then the request to NARC as the resolution number 2522. And then, yes, Councilwoman Butler, if you will make the motion.
I'll make a motion for to amend the agenda for those changes and the addition of the resolution.
Second?
Got a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Butler to amend the agenda with the changes, and second by Vice President Canujo. Let's call for the vote.
Jordan Canuho,
Yes.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Oh,
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go to Resolution 2521. This resolution is for the FOIA request. Vice President Canujo did submit some changes. There's a couple changes on the whereas, and then just for clarification, we just asked the Attorney General about the last further be it resolved language where it states that item number 1, specifically requesting consultation with the United States federal government concerning the forced fee patent issue writ large, and just to get an understanding of the language. So it's up to council if you want to leave that language in or if you want to remove it.
I'm not a legal person, so I'd like to know what it means at least before we,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Austin, do you want to repeat what writ large it means? Councilwoman Butler and Councilwoman Hare were still on break before we convened.
Oh, sorry. Yes, ma'am. Sorry about that. So writ large in this context is meant to denote in the broader sense of forced fee patents, and it's not a word I would normally use, but in the context of this Rush Roberts specific land also being there, it was used for clarification that this means all of the forced fee patents, not just the Rush Roberts, but so that was the reason for that word.
Thank you.
Any questions on the resolution?
I don't have any questions, but just want to make a comment that we do have a government-to-government consultation act, and just wanted to make sure that we attach that with the FOIA request, because there is specific protocols for us to, have government-to-government consultation. Just want to put that we do have laws to do that and procedures, so just want to make sure that that happens. And then I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2521
a second.
With changes.
with changes.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Butler, second by Councilwoman Hare. If no further discussion, we'll call for the vote.
Jordan Canuho,
Yes.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Oh,
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Okay, on the next resolution, Resolution 2522, and that is the request for NARC, seeking the assistance of NARC to make this request to see if they're in agreement to representation for the Pawnee Nation as previously offered. Any questions on the resolution? There are changes that are also noted and were sent in your packet. Hearing no changes, I have one question. I don't know who drafted it, but can we get the reasoning behind grants and contracts office being included, or?
is that just off of a standard, that's just off of a standard
just-
program contracting? I noticed that too, and I was going to bring that up.
Maybe, what did the other resolution say with the Attorney General?
I believe so, yeah.
So just taking off the grants and contracts and adding the Attorney General?
That's fine.
Yes, I'd recommend that.
I'm in agreement with that. I don't.
Yeah. Any other comments? Now entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2522 with changes.
I'll make the motion to approve with changes.
I second.
Motion on the floor by Councilwoman Butler, second by Councilwoman Scher. Let's call for the vote.
Jordan Canuho,
Yes.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Oh,
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Okay, this time we have item number 9, open forum. Do we have anything for open forum? Yes, Ms. Beard.
I'm here today because my family and I received an email from Councilwoman Kimball accusing us of filing complaints against her. I want to state that I have not filed a complaint against anybody. With that being said, I would like to ask Councilwoman Kimball to leave me and my family alone. Thank you.
Because I'm in the same boat.
Please leave us alone.
I've not done anything.
Please leave us
to
alone.
Can you step into this, President? You're the one that brought this to me. And hold on. President Nuttall is the one that brought this to me. Let's all step back a second, okay? I really want this out in the open and aired. Sharon, hang on
No,
just a sec.
you had your chance to talk.
did?
Yes,
When?
when you emailed us. When you
What-
sent that email.
Could you read the email?
Yes.
Thank you. That's why I want to step back, because we're just piecemealing it, and I'd rather start from the very,
She
very
says,
beginning.
Noah, I am writing to respond to your complaint about allegations made against me from my activities at the Pawnee Nation Business Council election signups on February 23rd, 2025. I don't even know what you're talking about. There are rumors out there that I heard, and I never acted on it. I just assumed it's a rumor and left it at that. Let me talk.
Okay, do it.
And I left it at that, assuming and believing that whoever made those complaints, it was going to get taken care of. And I left it at that. I went up, yeah, it was upsetting. Yes, I was upset and hurt about it. And it angered me. That's how I react because of all the trauma I've been through. That's how I react. And I sat on my hands and I held my tongue. And then go throughout my daily work and then I come to work and this is on my email. And I'm like, I'm trying to do a job here. And yeah, I was upset. And who do we go to? Who do we go to? We don't have an HR. We have somebody acting as HR. But I went right to the ED to go and try to figure out what can I do because I did not know where to go. And it was very upsetting to me because I don't have a clue as to what is going on. There's rumors out there, and that's, I left it at that. They're rumors. And if complaints were made, well, I just believed that whoever they were turned into, it was going to get taken care of. And I left it at that. Yes, I thought, I heard about what was said, and I didn't act upon it. I left it and tried to deal with it the best that I could. And then I had to get this email. I felt attacked. I felt harassed. I don't have a clue what's going on. I don't know. It's just hearsay to me. And I tried to express all of this to my family and to try to just have them be calm about everything. We talk about it all the time. I mean, because it's upsetting. And I want to believe that you're in there in this position to help the people and to take care of the people and to do what's best for the people. But then you come at me sideways with this email, and I'm like, I haven't done anything to you. I don't even know you. I just know you through Gilbert and your relationship, and that's it. I don't know anything about you, really. You call me sis when I see you, but then I get this email, like to respond to my complaint. How do you know I made a complaint?
Because
I never
Okay.
made one complaint about anybody, about what, why. If I have something to say, I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna say it.
Thank you, Sharon.
I don't appreciate it. It ruined my freaking day. It did.
I hear you.
It upset my whole day.
I hear you.
And then to have to go home and it was unsettling.
I hear you.
It caused me more trauma. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't want to understand it. I want to put it behind me. And whatever was said and done, that's on you. That's on you. I wasn't there. I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. I didn't go to the election committee. You did.
No.
I didn't
No.
I didn't do anything.
Sharon.
They don't have nothing to do with me. And I don't appreciate those emails. And then you email, I was going to the ED to take care of this. As soon as I get to the building 64, I get another email. You forwarded another email from
Vice President Canuho.
Vice President Canuho, which made it look like he's in on this. And at the time, I was upset. And it made me want to think, now she's pulling him into this, and he has her back. Who has mine?
So this is what happened, okay?
You know, this is what I'm saying. I don't want to talk about it.
Well,
It's
you're
done.
here.
It's over. Yes.
It has to be a two-way
You know,
street.
yes.
It has to be two ways. And what happened
Exactly.
is that I've got a letter from Misty Nuttall, our president, on March the 3rd. On March the 3rd, I received a letter from Misty Nuttall with attachments from you and from,
It wasn't from Sharon.
speak up because you've never responded ever
No,
to me.
It wasn't from Sharon. That's what she's saying. She didn't make a complaint to you.
Okay, well, I apologize to you, Sharon. So who did send the complaints? I looked at these letters, I read the letters. I have the letters right here.
Then you should know. who
I'm
made the
sorry.
complaint.
We're here to please ask Miss Sammy Kimball to leave my family alone.
And
How do we get that done?
What have I done to you?
And
Please
that's
leave
what
us
they're-
alone.
That's
What have I
what they're
done to you?
seeking, is just to not have any communication.
Well, the problem is that I started on this thing on March the 3rd. I got a letter from Misty saying that I offended the Beards at the election. Somebody in the election commission said that I said some very derogatory things about the Beards. And I'm like, oh my God, I never said nothing about the Beards. We were talking, and I said in the letter, I'm working on communications projects. We are trying to lean processes. We are trying to do forms. That's my job. I was trying to talk to Bonnie Hawkins. I go, dang, I said, every page is kind of the same. We need to look at that. I've got 2 projects going on. I'll come back to you. That was it. I go, love you guys. I'm out of here. And I had to come back to finish cooking. That's all that happened. When Misty called me and asked me to call her and Vice President Canuho to talk about that, that's all I said. And I said, you know what, I'm going to follow up on the letter and just put it out there, because never, ever did I ever say anything. So what happens at this level is if somebody complains, you have to have a written letter from that person that says, hey, I want a written formal complaint against Sammy Kimball because she said this at the election commission. So I have been waiting since March the 3rd. Misty promised me on March the 5th that I would get that letter. I've never heard from Misty since then, which is egregious, which is a very unfortunate thing. And it's a good thing that Vice President Canuho was in on it, because I have been in the same boat. I've been sick to my stomach. I have been down. I can't even run a campaign. I don't want to do anything. I don't even want to be around. Okay? Misty never came back to me, and I'm going to just be upfront and very honest, because that is poor at best. That you did not ever even apologize to me. You never received a letter from a commissioner stating this stuff, and you didn't even help me. You didn't even put it to bed. So I took it upon myself to apologize to these folks. I apologized to them. I thought that was a nice letter.
But
I sent them a letter saying, hey, I'm sorry, you guys. I never said that to you. I never said that to you.
But the thing is, if it was how you say it is, then you should have kept it between you guys.
No.
You shouldn't have reached out to me. You shouldn't have reached out to my niece. You shouldn't have reached out to anybody. That's between you guys. I know better to say, hey, I know these guys are going to take care of it, and that's where I left it. And so said, you should have done the same. You're a councilwoman.
You don't think I
You're
needed to
supposed to be
apologize
there.
to you? You don't think you deserved an apology?
Yes, I did.
Well,
That's why I'm here.
I apologize
And that's
to
fine.
you. I
That's
said I'm
fine.
sorry.
And we said we want it to be left alone, and that's what we want.
That's
We
great.
want to be left alone. We want to, I don't want to have
It's
to listen
unfortunate.
to anything
It's unfortunate.
about, yes, it is.
It's
Because you
unfortunate.
attacked the wrong person.
I didn't
I'm
attack
not-
anybody. Nobody attacked you.
You attacked
Oh, I
me.
sure did not.
You sent
I
to my email.
Absolutely. Apologizing to you.
You didn't apologize to me. You
Doesn't
accused
it say
me.
I'm sorry?
You accused me.
Tell her to leave us alone.
Okay, what,
And
that's all I
we're
have to
sitting
say.
here, and this is open forum, we're hearing what has occurred. There was a complaint that was received, and I was in discussions with the family to try to see what they wanted to occur, to find out what the result was of them wanting to occur. And it was communicated that there was delays because of sickness. And still, I haven't heard a response from the family. And then to be
What family?
contacted, continuously to be contacted after it was given, it was told to you to not have contact with the family or participate in committees until this has been resolved.
you can't gag me.
And the very next day, you contacted or reached out to them.
I did, to Gilbert.
And it's not necessarily a gag, it was a request
no.
because
It
of
was a gag,
the
Misty.
allegations that were made, and just to try to have some type of compassion for the complainants to say, they just received this information that, had been relayed to them, and just to have the opportunity so I could reach out to them and say, because you had asked, you wanted to reach out to the family. Is it okay for her to contact you? But we never got that opportunity because you reached out to the family.
You never, since March the 3rd, you have not communicated with me at all. I made a phone call to you on April the 2nd. You didn't want to take my call, but you texted me for 45 minutes. You have never sent me another email. You've never called me, and I asked. Not only is Vice President Canuho our vice president, he's also my confidant and my pastor. And I reached out to him, and I said, what? She's not going to communicate. So he communicated to you. And I'd like to read that letter. I'm going to read that letter.
Susie,
This is open
you have the
forum.
floor.
Okay. I was, the reason why Misty wasn't able to respond to anything was because we never responded to her. We didn't know what to do because we were all just devastated.
Me too.
And it not only hit me and my sister and my little sister Weezer, it hit us hard. And when it hits us, it hits the whole family.
What
It doesn't just hit 2 or 3 of us. It hits everybody, all of our family. We're just like, didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do. We were like that for a good while.
What
and
did you
then
hear?
after we finally settled down, well then, everything was going peacefully, then they get the email today or yesterday. And it's just like it starts all over again, you know? And so at this point, we don't care. We just want to be left alone. If we have to go and get a restraining order to keep somebody from us, well, then we'll do that, because
There's
we've
a
all
lot of
been
anger and
approached.
hate going on here.
Yes,
and
there is. We saw
that's
one of your
terrible.
posts today, and it's
You know, I'm going to read this
It's-
letter to you.
I've read it. I've read it.
No,
I've read it several times.
I'm going to read a letter to you.
No, you
And-
don't need to read it to me.
Well, I'm
because
gonna read it to
see,
the
I mean,
people.
it's like we ask you to do something, and, you know, and then that's it. But you just like keep on and keep on and keep on.
I've got a name
and
too.
it's,
I've
it's,
got enough to protect myself too and defend
it's,
myself. There's a
it's,
whole bunch
we're
of
asking-
22 of you guys out there. On
We're
April
just
4th,
asking that you leave us alone.
on
and
April
that's
4th,
it.
on April 4th.
And other than that.
And, you know, and I
Okay,
would
that's-
appreciate that. And
That's-
Louise,
that's enough.
and Louise, if you wouldn't mind not
You know, the
speaking
issue-
about it at the little store that you're operating, I heard
The
somebody
issue is
discussing that
done.
today.
We're
No,
done discussing the issue.
I'm not done. I'm not done, Misty. You're going to hear
Yes,
this.
we're
President
gonna move
Nuttall.
on. Is there anything else for
Yes.
open forum?
Yeah, I've got open forum. This is from Jordan
Yes.
Canuho to you, Misty. It says, President Nuttall, dated April the 4th. I'm following up regarding the complaints filed against Councilwoman Kimball on March the 3rd and the status of their resolution. Councilwoman Kimball scheduled a meeting on Wednesday, April the 2nd, in hopes of receiving an update and working towards closure. That's all I'm trying to do, you guys, is get this closed out. However, you were unavailable. I informed her I would reach out to you directly for any updates and outcomes from your discussions with the involved parties. During our phone conversation on March the 3rd, you mentioned the Election Commission was expecting to make a statement. Has that occurred? You also noted at the time that you aimed to conclude your interviews and discussions by Wednesday, March the 5th. It has now been over 4 weeks, and unfortunately, there have been no communication or progress shared with Councilwoman Kimball since then. Given the seriousness of this matter, I expected a timelier resolution. If the allegations had been substantiated by a credible source, I assume appropriate action would have been already taken. The continued delay with no apparent evidence brought forward suggests otherwise. In light of this, I support Councilwoman Kimball's recommendation from her March 10th email that you respond to the 3 tribal members who submitted the complaints, sharing Councilwoman Kimball's account that she gave both verbally and written, and clarifying the absence of any formal complaint from the Election Commission or individuals present during the incident in question. Additionally, a formal apology to Councilwoman Kimball is warranted for the undue stress and reputational harm caused by this unresolved situation, particularly given the lack of supporting evidence. If you have information substantiating the allegations, I urge you to share it with Councilwoman Kimball so she can respond accordingly. Otherwise, I hope you will take the steps necessary to bring this matter to a close. This situation has weighed on everyone involved, and I believe it is time to move forward. Please let me know if you need anything further from me. I look forward to your response. That, Ms. Nuttall, is what transpired, and you have never responded to me since March the 3rd. That's egregious. We're talking 5 or 6 weeks here, and I'm still waiting. And we've got this poor family that thinks that I've said something, and you haven't even done your legwork to bring it forward. And that is reprehensible. And you owe me an apology.
My actions were due to the family.
You should have
And
communicated.
you just heard them
You should have
state
communicated.
that they did not want to pursue. And had you continued to wait, that's what they were going to say.
Why
But
didn't you communicate?
you persisted to communicate with them.
I didn't communicate with anybody.
That's why they are upset.
I didn't communicate with anybody except Gilbert, who I call my son, and he calls me mom. And I communicated, and I go, why didn't you just ask me? I gave him a hug
Well-
on Sunday on Saturday at the dance. I says, look, I talked to Pat Leading Fox. Pat knows about this as
Okay,
well.
and you have your side of the story, and
My
they've shared.
my side of the
They've
story-
shared their recollection of the incident as well.
Misty,
So
you should
here-
have,
this is what we have
wrapped
to
it up.
say.
Could I
You
have-
should have wrapped it up.
And
I just want to be able to speak
Thank you.
now.
Thank
I know
you,
there's
Vice
been a lot that's been
President
shared. Just for those who are listening, those who are here tonight as well, and to a council as well, I was notified on March 3rd about these complaints. I didn't inquire about these complaints. I didn't inquire about any rumors that have been going around or anything of that nature. President Nettle reached out to me, informing me of these complaints. Total, there were three. There were three complaints from three tribal members, and these complaints were in regard to accusations of things that, accusations towards Councilwoman Kimball about what she was allegedly saying while she was filing for her candidacy for election. And so from that, these complaints came to her desk, and then from there, she reached out to me because she wanted to reach out to Councilwoman Kimball to give her an opportunity to say her side of it in the process, for due process, and just making sure that every side is being recorded. And she wanted to bring me in just as a witness. And so I agreed to sit in on the conversation. And so we had that conversation that afternoon with Councilwoman Kimball over the phone. And Councilwoman Kimball recalled everything that happened when she went to file for the election, for her candidacy. And she had mentioned over the phone that she was going to submit a written statement as well, which she did either, I think, later that day or the next day for that as well. And in that, President Nettle mentioned that she's going to try to get some more information. This happened on a Monday, and she's trying to get everything taken care of by that Wednesday. A statement from the Election Commission, which to this day still has not had happened yet.
And let me clarify that. That's what was told to me, that a statement was forthcoming.
Mhm.
I didn't say that, we were waiting on a statement from them. That's just the rumor that was said was that.
You wrote it down.
That
Okay.
it was forthcoming.
You wrote it down.
That's what was, yes, because that's what was told to me.
You
And
wrote
so
it
we
down.
were waiting on that information. And so this went on for a week, and then I know Councilwoman Kimball was asking President Nettle for information to no response. And so another week passed, and so on and so forth. And that's what brought me to sending this email on April 4th, a month later, because to my understanding of just discussing this with Councilwoman Kimball is there's not been any resolution to any of the complaints or alleged things that were said at that time. And so I'm just asking her where things stood. If there is information, I think that needs to be shared with Councilwoman Kimball. As far as the apology goes, I was directing that to President Nettle in this private email that we had amongst us three. It was passed out to us. I don't know who else had gotten it, but it was just, I sent it directly to President Nettle and copied Councilwoman Kimball on it. I didn't feel the need to include anyone else because no one else was involved in this matter. And so that's where I was addressing that for her. And unfortunately, I never got a response. And so Councilwoman Kimball reached out to me that Thursday afternoon, that Thursday evening, just letting me know we still haven't heard anything from the President. And she said, would you mind if I reach out to those who did the complaints? And I told her, I said, if we don't hear anything by close of business Friday, I said, I don't see an issue why. This is where I will say that I was unaware that Councilwoman Kimball was going to email the others that are included on this email chain here. And I can see some of the concern and some of the feelings that are there because it went to them unbeknownst to what was the conversation, what was going on in that situation there, in that particular situation. The ones that are included on this email, I don't see one of them that was one of the ones that filed a complaint included on this email chain here, but two of them I see that's on there for that. But again, there wasn't anything that substantiated the rumors that I guess initiated the complaints that was given to Councilwoman Kimball, and that's what I was trying to get at is what is there? I mean, is there anything that can actually substantiate what actually was said, because from my understanding, there was only 5 people in that room that day, and out of those 5 that were there, can anyone say, yes, this is what she said, and put that in writing so that we can move forward on resolving this issue? Because lingering on things like this is just going to cause what we have today, and so that's what I was trying to do, is get those things taken care of. It's unfortunate that it's boiled over into this formal setting that we have, but here we are. You tribal members have your right to come and address that to us, and you're expressing that freedom that you have today to express that to us, directly to Councilwoman Kimball at the same time. And so that's where I stand on this, and that's just my involvement, my enrollment on that. It's unfortunate that it looks as though I'm one-sided on this. It's more of just trying to get to the bottom of it and resolve it. Again, it's over a month still lingering, and here we are tonight still talking about it. And so maybe after this evening we can find a resolution.
It's really, thank you, Vice President Canoe, for speaking like that, because it really has been very unfair to me, President Nuttall, that you did not ever respond. You never said nothing, and you have to own that.
I do own that. My issue is that these conversations were ongoing.
No, they weren't.
Not
they
with
weren't.
you,
You
with
could
the
have said
family.
that. You could have just said they're ongoing. They're
you
ongoing.
You just had heard from them that they didn't want to have any contact. And that's what she said. That's the reason, is they were ready to let it go. That's what I'm hearing.
But why didn't you get
I have to reach out to them.
No,
and
you
make sure
were
that there's
supposed
a
you were
response.
supposed to
If I
get
get-
a
And
letter.
not just speak on their behalf.
If I can interject just for a minute, though, and I'm guilty of this too, so don't think that I'm perfect on this as well, but that's why communication is very important, and even a quick reply to Councilwoman Kimball's email of, I'm still gathering information, please give me some time, I'll give you an update in a few days, and then follow up on that update. Those are the important things, and like I said, I'm guilty of that myself, not replying and communicating at times, but I think that, I from what I was gathering and just talking with Councilwoman Kimball is, it was just radio silence. There was nothing there. There was no response whatsoever, and
It seems like it's very politicized.
and
I have no political
no,
intent
don't
behind it.
even tell me
My-
that.
I'm sorry, can I say something?
I'm not
Yes.
saying that part.
Sure,
I'm just
please
saying
do.
that much.
Please do.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So I just have a statement, then a question. So I understand, President Null, you said that a written grievance has to be filed. Can you help me understand the process of why it would have to be shared with the individual who the complaint was made upon? I feel like that would almost leave it open for the individual who the complaint was made upon to be retaliatory.
No, I didn't, I have at no point said that a written agreement had to be filed. I received these, I didn't request the complaints. They were sent to my email. And so that brings up a good point, because in having Miss or Councilwoman Kimball be able to address the allegations, that was my intent behind forwarding the complaints. But in doing so, I didn't provide any of the contact information that email came from.
So it was
Yes,
just
you did.
assumptions on?
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, everybody signed them.
No, they signed them, but there was no contact information for her to go back and email these people. I didn't give her the contact email for these people.
Gotcha, and that was just my question, because this obviously has been blown way out of proportion, and I feel like for tribal members, it's going to make this look bad if anybody else wants to file a complaint, because they're afraid that it's going to be passed around. So that was just my,
Right, and
That's
that's what I
our
wanted to
norm.
know. What does that grievance policy look like, and is that something you guys are going to be working on?
Yes, as a result of this and other complaints that were received, I have been working with Austin Vance to come up with a document to address these concerns, because what this has shown is the same thing that we've been working on with the constitutional issues, is there are gaps in protections, in the protections for tribal members, employees, and staff from council members.
Or vice versa.
So in doing so, we've addressed, issues with the declaration of respect in having to go to mediation. However, there's nothing, like everybody has said, that holds the aggressor or the offender their feet to the fire because it just stops at that. So there needs to be a process to continue on with that
Absolutely.
declaration of respect, because that's the only thing that's applicable when there are offenses made by PBC, other than what's in the Constitution, and that's, recall, suspension, removal. However, even just to have, like a simple suspension, you have it, and it's not put in there for misconduct. There's nothing in there that addresses any type of misconduct. It's simply you have to be charged with a crime, and then you're, eligible for suspension. So in light of it, yes, we have been working to try to address these issues, and it's just shown a light on, like I said, the holes or the loops within our governing documents where those protections aren't there.
Absolutely, okay. And then Councilwoman Kimball, I know that you feel like you're being attacked, but I would strongly encourage you to just reflect on your professionalism, especially in this setting, and to Vice President Nuttall. So that's all I have.
And you know that it's really outrageous that I've had to endure all of this, because the whole thing is that when the president sent me the email that she wanted to have a discussion because she had 3 complaints, they were rumor complaints. This wasn't people that were inside an election office listening to me say these things. That somebody told these people that I said this. So what happens is that you have to go back and say, okay, let's substantiate this. Is this indeed what happened? That's what we're trying to get to. And it's unfortunate that whoever told the people that these words were said wouldn't man up and write the letter saying, I heard her say this. Nobody did that. That's what I've been waiting on since March the 4th. She promised me that she'd have this resolved on that this was on a Monday, a week after I signed up. Took a whole week. And then on that Monday, I was blown away, because I was actually cooking for Mr. Jeff Adams, who is a veteran. I'm one of the veteran cooks, and I was next door cooking that day on Sunday. And because of the ice storm and cold, they had extended our election signups for Sunday. So my sister's the head cook. It was about 4:40, and I go, hey, I'll be right back. I'm going to go sign up for my seat. So I headed over there, and Rick Nordwall was in there. He had just signed up. I was there. Kat Moore was in there. Jessica Leading Fox was in there. I met a girl named Tammy Tubbs, who I'd never met before. Cecilia Hawkins was in front of me, and I'm looking at like 9 pages of forms, and they were kind of redundant. They were all the same, and I said, you know what? When this is all over, I says, I'm working on a project right now with the tax office. We're doing forms for them. We're trying to get them fillable. We want to be able to have them on the internet. I want to bring a kiosk in here so people can fill out their forms right here on site and get their tags. And then I'm going to be working with finance and accounts payable, because we're doing some lien processes with them, and we're going to get their forms and put them on the intranet within the system, and then I'll focus on you. And she goes, well, also we had some codification laws that Attorney General Chad Smith and I worked on. And I says, I'm aware of that, but that's with governing docs. They have to approve those before they come to council, before they can get uploaded, so that will happen eventually. I says, hey, I gotta go. I got like 5 minutes before we're feeding these folks, and I'm out of here. See you, I love you, I'm out. And I left. That was it. So whoever told the Beard family that I was speaking about them is completely ludicrous and a lie. That's why I was so offended and hurt by it, because my heart, when I'm over there cooking, I'm prayed up, I'm focused, I want to cook, I'm with the family, and that's all we did. So President Nuttall tells me on on that Wednesday, when we had our, on that Monday, that she would have the written complaint to me on Wednesday. I didn't get anything. So I followed up on an email, hey, what's going on? She goes, quit asking me about that. And besides that, I'm upset that you talked to Gilbert. And I go, well, Gilbert calls me Mom, and I call him my son, and I love him, and yeah, I did. And I asked Gilbert, I go, why didn't you just ask me? Because I'd have made it, I would have told you what happened. Nothing happened. And he says, well, you know, we had this text going back and forth, and you know, everybody's getting all wound up. I says, well, you should have called me. He says, well, I talked to Rosario Leading Fox, and he told me to go ahead and write a letter. And I go, okay, that's all right, you know, we'll figure it out. Went like that. Never heard from her. Never got a letter of complaint. Never got anything. I kept asking, what's going on? What's going on? She wouldn't even take my phone call. You wouldn't
Regarding
even
the
talk to
issue,
me. And
right.
like Vice President Canujo said, all you had to do was just say, hey, look, I don't have it. We're going to close this out, and we're going to, and I'll resolve it with the family. But you didn't even have the courtesy or the professionalism to even tell me that. You didn't do anything. You left me hanging. You left them hanging. So when I talked to Pat Leading Fox, I asked Vice President Canujo last week, hey, on Friday, I says, is it okay if I just take care of this myself? And he goes, yeah. So I said, all right. So I called Pat and I says, hey, can you see me? And Pat Leading Fox and I had a good talk. I says, I just want prayer. I want prayer for me. I want prayer for the family. You know, the Beard girls are hard to get to know, and I really enjoy them. I really like them, and I want goodness out of it. And he says, okay, I'll talk to him. He says, in the meantime, give me a hug, and he says, do what you need to do. All right. So then I wrote,
Okay,
I
I don't think we need to hear any more, because you're making statements and these individuals aren't here to
Okay.
state what was made.
All right,
The
fine.
issue
The issue
is
is that
complete.
you dropped the ball.
The issue is complete. The family doesn't want any contact from you, and
I don't want
that's
any,
where we're at.
and I think that you owe all of us an
Yes.
apology.
Bo, you have
I'd
the
like to
floor.
say something.
Thank
Yes.
you.
All right, for everyone that don't know me, my name is Lorenzo Beard, and I'm the oldest of this family now. And I hear all the complaints. They come to me, tell me what's going on. And so I come back and forth down here. And I don't come to these meetings. I feel that I don't need to. But today, I feel like I had to come out here. I don't know what's going on. I just hear. I just hear the hearsay of what's going on. So today I came down here to find out what's going on. And I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it. I just want everything to go back to normal. I want my people to leave my family alone. And I know it's just hearsay, but when I hear the hearsay, I'm not like that anymore. But back in the day, when I hear rumors like that, when attacking my family, me and my family are real close. We've always been close. And when someone attacks my family like that, it doesn't attack just one, it attacks all of us. And so as a family, we come together and we deal with it. But we don't deal with that no more like that, because we're not that way. That was when we was younger. But now I come and hear everything, and I know there's two sides of the story, and I just came to hear. And I would just like to, everything just go back to normal. My sisters said what they had to say. She had, everybody's had their say. So now, let's just leave it at that. We don't want this problem to go any further, and that's it. because it doesn't go nowhere. It just fuels itself. And it keeps on and keeps on, and then somebody, finally gets out of hand. But I'm just here to say that, to me, everything's settled. I hear everything, and I heard everything, and, each side said what they had to say, and my sister said what they wanted, and I just like to go with that, just leave it be.
It's really crazy, Lorenzo. Thanks for being here. My brother is here too, my little brother Frank. I never even told my folks. I was so ashamed. I was so hurt with it. I don't tell them too much.
But I don't intervene. I don't intervene because I'm the oldest of the family. I've kind of always been like that. But when it comes down to it, I will. When it needs it. But like I said, I hear what my family tells me and that. And so today I felt myself that I need to come say something. And I just want to, say, just let it go. It's over. They said what they said. You guys said what you said. So, they're here to work. That's all. They're not bothering nobody. They just come to work every day. So just leave it at that. And that's all I want to say. I apologize if I said something out of hand or like that, but it doesn't go nowhere. And I just like, our families. I just want to say just let go. Don't bother my sisters no more. But if it continues, then I'm gonna have to come and say something. I might not be more calm as I am now, but I just leave it. Leave my family alone, and hopefully, everything will turn out okay. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Who's one? Treasurer Chapman, your hand is raised.
Yes. I would like to say to you all, I have been sitting here listening to everything that was said tonight, the documents that were read, and it's very concerning that this has come to this point that an entire family feels so hurt, but equally it has hurt a member of our council. And from what I'm hearing, there was a root cause that grew and grew and grew out of this. A root cause, President Nuttall, that you should take the responsibility, admit your responsibility, and I'm hearing you instead talk about the Declaration of Respect and that how it should be used to control people. I just cannot get over that. I mean, I know that the Declaration of Respect is used in the wrong way, and that it is designed to be a weapon to use on tribal officials, commissioners, and so on. And I personally watched the Declaration of Respect being used on 4 Pawnee elder women to remove them from their positions. I do not agree with your method of using the Declaration of Respect, and just automatically from what I'm hearing said on this video here, I heard Jordan's comments, your comments, everybody's comments, and I feel so sorry for the emotions and the hurt that everyone has suffered, and every one of them involved in this are hurt, and it is very unfortunate that you could have stopped it right at the beginning, and you didn't. And in this meeting, you have talked about the Declaration of Respect, and because of what's happened, and that the councilwoman you are saying has been doing all this wrong, that we should have the Declaration of Respect to take care of people like this. That is nothing but using a weapon when the root cause was never taken care of. It is blown out of proportion now. It is all blown out of proportion. Like was said, you said you couldn't do anything. You could have made a phone call to stop all this and said, hey, I'm not getting any answer back. This is going to take a little bit longer. What would that have hurt as a leader to pick up the phone and say that so that this would not go even further? Like he said, there's always two sides to a story. And we have listened to both sides tonight, but it's very unfortunate that it had to be brought to this level and broadcast due to your failure to address the root cause. The root cause is still there, and I know I've heard a lot of hurt people say, I want it put to bed, let's go home and forget it. The root cause was never addressed, and if anyone thinks that it's going to go away when everybody walks out that door, well, I disagree. I think that you need to still do your leadership duty and find the root cause and make it all okay or better so that these people are not hurt on both sides. And that is my comments.
Thank you for that. I want to address that because this was initially, like we said, going into investigation. And none of this has been divulged, and I don't even know that I should be, divulging anything because we're here in open forum. This is an issue that has been brought about and brought forward. And, there was confidence on both sides to get a resolution to get this resolved and to find the full story as to what has occurred. If I can't get, that full information, then I don't have confidence in myself to make a full decision on what needs to occur. Initially, what had happened, like I stated, was there was to be no contact to the family and no participation in committees. That way, we can find out what had occurred. Yes, I had intended on having things done, completed in my mind by the 5th. That didn't occur because you had election commissioners that were not available. And then reaching out to the family, it was told to me that they were going to get together and find out, what would be done that would come to some resolution for this whole issue. And that's where the ball was. And as you have heard, there was no response on that end. Coming back, it was directed to me on several occasions. I need to do this, I need to do that. However, the Constitution allows me supervisory authority over the affairs of the council. And that, from the get-go, was not adhered to. And so even continuing on, we're still sitting here and trying to conduct the investigation in the best manner where you have both sides able to tell their story. And we've heard, yes, we've heard orally, we've heard, that there was a written statement. However, it wasn't clear from the family how they wanted to proceed forward or what could be done to fully resolve the issue without, the hurt feelings being there. And in doing this investigation, I did speak with 2 commissioners. I spoke with 2 commissioners, and then, like I said, hearing that the family doesn't want to proceed further, I don't think those details need to come out because it would just draw this whole process out. And at no time did I utilize the Declaration of Respect or try to adhere to it. I'm aware of the flaws within the Declaration of Respect and the holes, and that there's no resolution to it. But not once did I say, you violated this aspect or anything. I didn't make any claims to anybody because, like I said, I want to have the most information to give the most informed decision. So, that's where I'm at. And yes, there is onus as to not communicating anything with regards to be an update because I've reached out, continuously and have not heard anything. So that being said, that left me, to try to seek answers or seek
I
some
lost
kind of resolution.
hearing.
So that's where I'm at. LMA? Ella, you're on mute if you're trying to speak.
No, I'm not on mute. My microphone does not say.
No, LMA.
Oh,
Oh, I wasn't trying to speak, but yeah, we didn't hear the last part of what you said, if you were still speaking, President Nettle.
President Nettle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear both of you.
Okay. I thank you for that response, but I would just like to disagree with you again. You said that I said you were using the Declaration of Respect when you made your decisions. No, I didn't say that. I said I heard you just now promote. That's what you said. This is why we're needing to have the Declaration of Respect, which you were implying in your statements, as I was hearing it, that Councilwoman Kimball holds the entire responsibility, which is not true. And you said, I have to listen to these people first, which is true. You have to listen to our membership. But the thing is, President, the root cause has still not been addressed. The root cause was not addressed, and it's still not addressed. And like I said, I appreciate your response, but this is not going to go away until you get the root cause, which you never did. And some of the excuses are, no, you can pick up the phone and there are ways to say things to people, which I don't agree that you should have totally and completely shunned our tribal council member. And now she is having to defend herself. And Vice President Jordan has had to speak up too, because the rumors are so out of control. And they're going to remain there until you take care of what you were going to originally take care of in the first place. It's not just we've all got hurt and talked to each other and let's drop it.
Right.
That, I think it'll end up back here again.
No, I agree with that. And that's what prompted this whole issue, is because of the email that came out yesterday. This investigation was still ongoing.
Okay.
The family has
President
reached out. They had a discussion yesterday. They had a discussion today, and they're continuing to do that. This right now, what you're hearing is what is the resolution that they want.
Well, here's the thing, Misty, to that. First of all, where do you have the authority to do an investigation? And I know the Constitution, the current one, not the revised one, giving dictatorship ability of the president, but where does it say that you have the authority to stop an elected council person from doing her duties? She is on countless committees. She's on the HR committee, the IT committee, the budget committee. She's a legislator working for the Pawnee people. Where does it say in the Constitution that your supervisory authority has the ability for you to, in effect, issue an order to her to stop serving the Pawnee people? I disagree. Our Constitution does not say that, and maybe the former president interpreted it that way, but that's not what he says. You know, I just disagree, and I think that the whole thing was not investigated because the root cause is what should have been investigated, and that root cause is still sitting out there right now. And again, I'm going to say, if we think this is all going to go away tonight, it's not, because that root cause is still out there.
Right.
And that's all I have to say. And you can respond, but I'm through. Yeah. Thank you.
And I agree. In conclusion, what I think needs to occur is we need to have executive session next council meeting and have the commissioners come to the meeting and give you their statements. I mean, that's the best way that I can put it, because I don't want to speak on their behalf. And yes, I did conduct the investigation, and like I said, it was on the family side. How do we go about and best resolving this where everybody, feels okay and is okay with moving forward? So that's where we're at right here and tonight.
No, I think we're done with it. I'm done. I'm actually done.
I haven't spoken.
Gone as far as I possibly can.
I haven't spoken either.
Ms. Blackout?
And my hand's raised.
I don't see anybody with their hand.
Yes.
Hi. I just want to say that, thank you, President Nuttall, for doing what you have been doing. And I apologize for the feedback of cars going by. That declaration of respect, it should be at the forefront, because when things like this happen, there is no process in place for employees or for anyone when something like this happens. And who's to say that's not what happened at the beginning of this onset? We've seen that there is no process. Well, just from what you were saying, if someone gets the declaration of respect, there's a case brought against them. What is the outcome? Right now, the mediator is the Pawnee Business Council. If it's a council person, if it's a commissioner, that's your peers. That's the same individuals. And I think that in our convention meetings, Ms. Littleson had mentioned, it should be an outside grievance committee or someone that deals with that. Like I've stated before, you guys were trying to do that back when she was the executive director. What do our employees, what support do they have to speak up when something happens? And yes, the way that this came about was unfortunate, but as legislators, as committee members, wherever you're at, and even when you're talking in meetings, because it has happened in past meetings where we say things about employees that are condescending and instead of encouraging. And that's not right either, because it has happened. I've watched meetings since you were on YouTube, Vimeo, and now on YouTube again and being live streamed. And yes, I have seen that from council members. And that is unfortunate, because as an employee, you are serving the nation, you are working and trying to do the best that you can. We see all the awards that individuals get at the end of the year, and then for them to be kind of brought down a notch by something supposedly said, yeah, there was an investigation going on. And Councilwoman Kimball wasn't the only one that was waiting for responses. You guys keep saying, well, she wasn't the only one waiting for a response. And some of us, we've been waiting and having patience and having confidence in President Nuttall that she's doing her due diligence. Her timeline is not everybody else's timeline. It's not. And to publicly state, disdain in her actions and what she's trying to do as our leader, I don't agree with that either. It's the same thing. You should be respectful to our president. She is our leader. And I don't see it as her being a dictator, because let me tell you, we had some dictator leadership previously, and this has not been like that. And to say that, to only hone in on that, the declaration of respect was towards one person. Why are we not still being supportive and looking for ways to support our employees, the Pawnee Nation employees, so that if things come up, and that they do, that they have the confidence.
Is now exiting.
That they have the confidence to speak up and to advocate for themselves. That they know that there's someone in there that's going to respect their side and that they're going to be supported. We don't see that. And that may have affected this. I don't know. But yes, I wrote a letter of concern because like it stated, I don't live in the state of Oklahoma. I live on the East Coast, but I am very close to my family. And when something like that is said, it's disappointing. It is. It's upsetting. It is disappointing. And to see that individuals were emailed on their work emails during the workday, I was disappointed in that. And that's all I'm going to say. And I don't need to hear anything on that. We've gone round and round and round about it. But there again, that was not being patiently waiting. And yes, it was how many ever weeks it was, but that's part of the process. The employees had to wait through that, and that's important. Us individuals had to wait for that. And I'm not getting on here and attacking our leadership, President Nuttall, and saying that she was in the wrong or that she was a dictator. She has that role, and to me, I see that she has that. She should be doing investigation. When you say that she shouldn't be doing an investigation like that, then what's the recourse for employees when something like that happens or a complaint is made? What is the recourse for them? And over and over again for the past 3 or 4 years, it's been talked about. They have no grievance committee. There's nowhere for them to go. And yet nothing's been done. And then even when this happens, you're still like just siding with one person. There are several individuals involved. And yeah, we haven't heard from that other one. You guys will, and that's how it should be. When you go into executive session, you should hear from those individuals. Thank you. Last thing I want to say is I appreciate the candidates forum because we were able to watch, we were able to be online. However, and I know this comes up, there's never enough time. We had questions from out-of-state, out-of-town individuals that didn't get answered, and I appreciate Councilwoman Butler for saying that those would be forwarded to the individuals to answer. It was unfortunate because we had individuals out-of-state that listened for an hour and a half waiting for their question to be brought up, and they felt like, well, that was a waste of time because I communicated with some individuals that asked questions, and it wasn't answered. And so next time, I hope that maybe it goes 2 hours, or at least there's switch between online and in-person questions. And also, I know that the administrative assistants and support personnel, they do so much. They're always at the meetings, they're doing all these different supportive roles. But when you have something like that, or even for the meeting, can you please use a tripod? That was one of the comments. Use a tripod to just, make it look a little more professional, that's all. Again, I appreciate your time and thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, Councilwoman Butler.
Just sitting here listening to everything, I think that there's still work that needs to be done. I think that President Eckhart, sorry, excuse my misnaming. She mentioned his name and I was like, anyway, sorry, President Nuttall. I still think that you need to give the families closure. I think it's disheartening that 2 families have been, I don't want to say victimized, but have been hurt by this. And this is my family. So, I don't want to say too much. It is disappointing that any rumor would get out like this, that anybody would say something against anybody. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that it's unfortunate and it's sad because we should be uplifting our tribal members. We shouldn't be degrading them or saying rumors about them and doing things that supposedly like this happened. I would just like to have closure for at least Councilwoman Kimball's perspective because she's been waiting for this, and for the family. And then let's just drop it and leave it alone. I think that they're due that. And that's my only request for this. And I think that if anything further needs to be done in executive session so that it can be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie, did you have anything?
I want to say just.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Evans.
You're starting a rumor about me. So, just listening to this, I think, we have problems with rumors and hearsay. And nobody wins with this, right? There's no resolution to it because there's no formal complaint to resolve. It hurts the folks who have heard that something was said about them. It hurts the people who were supposed to have said this, whatever it is. And but there's no resolution because it's not solid. And I just have to say that I think rumors and hearsay are, people use them as weapons, and they're like a snake in the grass, it's not the way we should do things. They're the weapons of cowards. So, I think, and I appreciate, I think you guys, you got hit with something, you got upset, and then you were like, thought about it, and you're like, we don't know, we're just done. And I think that's, that's actually, kind of our way, I think, and a good, it shows your strength, and I know you're still mad about it because you didn't get resolution, but no one ever will, I don't think, unless somebody who was there can tell us something useful. But yeah, I think somewhere we just have to rise above it a little bit. And I just got to tell you, maybe I should do this in a public thing, but when I came to town, doctors-wise, folks did not want me here. They did unethical things that would be illegal now. Just did everything they could to get me to leave. And it had worked, I think, on past docs who'd come in town. They'd been able to run them off. But, my answer is I'm going to rise above that. I'm not going to respond to that. I'm not going to come back at them with the same things they did with me. I'm just going to work hard and do a good job. And I'm going to beat them by being a better person than they are. And I'm the only one that's left. It works. So, being strong, being good, and rising above those kind of rumors, that's what we need to be. That's what we need to do. So, yeah. I do think that's part of, though, the thing with what was attempted with the Declaration of Respect is so that something that came up could go and have mediation somewhere, and it's not the best setup. Hopefully we can make it better. Well, some will make it better. But it would help to get resolution on something like this. Because I think this would have come through in a formal thing and been, we don't have an answer, done. And it would have been over. Still, I know we'd all be a little bit angry, but we'd have some semblance of resolution. So I don't think the Declaration of Respect is all bad. I just think it still needs a little work. But it's a good thing. And I think sometimes taking these things that people try to be sneaky with and try to use, these weapons, it gives you a way to counter that a little bit, or us as a people. So just to say, I don't think that's the Declaration of Respect is not a weapon against us or against, it just gives a way to resolve stuff. So it's not a bad thing. But I appreciate you guys being here. I know it's hard. It's hard to do, So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. Now, I want to pose a question to the council. Should this occur again, what is the recommended strategy for addressing this? Because as we've heard, there's nothing within the Constitution that states how to address this. There's nothing in the Declaration of Respect how to address this. What's the best approach to address complaints against PVC members? Yes, Vice President.
I will note, your approach at the beginning was, in my opinion, the right approach was to speak to all parties involved. That is, the ones who is being accused, giving them their opportunity to speak their side and voice what took place from their perspective, and then also gathering the information of the incident, as you've attempted to try to do. I know sometimes it's hard to get the information from certain individuals and sources like that. And then also going back to the source of the complaints as well, to those who issued the complaints, and gathering information from them. In this particular case here, some of the problem, or I should say some of the difficulty, is that the complaints are arising from secondhand, possibly third-hand sources. And that's where you, or whoever has to handle these situations, need to get to the bottom of is, who is the source? Who did you hear this from? So that we're not hearing secondhand, we're hearing straight from the source, so that we can settle that. Sometimes you get that, sometimes you don't. And then on top of that is, I know you had mentioned as well, is setting a timeline for that and trying to hit those marks. I think that's a big thing too, in doing that. And it's hard to say as far as the timeline, because every situation is going to be different. Every allegation is going to have its own issues that are going to come up. That's going to be hard to set a definitive timeline on when a resolution can be brought for that. And if the resolution, or if everything's done and the investigation is done and it points to, yes, the accused is guilty of that, then there should be certain things in line to deal with that situation. If it's an elected official, such as a council member, then those need to be looked at as what the Constitution currently lays out as far as handling those, depending on the degree of what took place in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in that. But if there is not enough evidence to substantiate those accusations, then I think those who brought the complaints either need to supply more information that can substantiate that information, or just notify those who brought the complaints that through your thorough investigation, there's not enough to substantiate what you're bringing forward. And if you have any more information, we can further investigate, but at this point, we consider this matter closed. That brings closure to those who brought complaint, and that brings closure to the one who's being accused. And that, to me, is the way to handle it. But I think like I said, it's hard to set a timeline because every situation is difficult. This one in particular, again, I think a month is too excessive to try and gather that information. It's just a case-by-case situation, but that's where we go back to communicating. We just got to make sure we're addressing everyone and keeping them updated on everything that's going there. That'd be my recommendation. But as I said, I think your initial approach to it was the right direction for it. It's just trying to tie everything up and bring closure to it, because that's what the family's wanting, or the ones who brought complaints, I should say, and that's what Councilwoman Kimball's wanting, and it could really mitigate what we have here tonight and what took place yesterday in those emails.
Well, and to clarify too, I'm not just speaking about this situation or circumstance. I'm talking about future complaints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just saying that what I just expressed there could be applied to future complaints.
Yeah.
That structure.
Anyone else? Councilwoman Hare.
Well, I like the way we were trying to go about the Declaration of Respect. I know that there's some more that needs to be added, but it was used once and it worked. It resolved that, it was a situation, and and basically what it was, and you hit the nail on the head by saying it's mediation. It was bringing them, sitting them down, acknowledging. And that's what happened, and it worked. So I would like to see us continue, working on this as a way to resolve issues.
President Nuttall?
Yes, Treasurer Chapman?
Yes. Yes, I would just like to say I heard the recommendation that Vice President gave, and I think that that is a good one because it's basically going to the root cause. A while ago you did mention that you would like to get the Election Commission in a executive session with the council. I think that's a good idea to resolve this issue and put it to bed, because it's obviously not going to get put to bed until the root cause is found. So I am in agreement with them on that, and I would just like to respond to the comments on how good the Declaration of Respect worked. And I'm going to go back to the 4 elderly Pawnee women that it was used on. I remember one of them walked in. She never received the complaint. She never got to read it. And she had been in the hospital. Her husband was dying. And she stated that when she sat in front of the council, that her husband was dying. She was in the ER with him. She never had a chance to read it. She didn't really know what it was about. And yet, she still was told to sit there and answer questions about something she didn't know anything about. And this person, this one that I'm very familiar with, never had any mediation, so it didn't work. They were never told anything, no further mediation, no nothing, no phone call, no meetings, no nothing. So in my opinion, it did not work, and those are facts. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Any other comments?
Well, I think the way it's been handled in the past, and Cynthia and Donna, you might correct me if I'm wrong, but typically when we have complaints come in, that's what they are. They're written statements, and we act on them at that moment. Innuendo and gossip and all that type of stuff really doesn't, hit the table until we have an actual written complaint that's signed and dated by somebody that's been aggrieved, right? Am I right? That's how it's been handled in the past. Yeah. And that's all I was asking for. That's all I've asked for is, can I please get the statement? And, by whoever heard me say something that was inappropriate, and I never received it. And it's been like 7 or 8 weeks.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I just want to say that, moving forward, I agree with what everybody's saying. My main thing is that I just feel like we don't need to air this out over one of our meetings. I mean, can we have executive session? That's what we had before. But I'm glad that the family did come in, and I mean, you voiced what you needed to say, and Sammy, you got to respond. I mean, and I want to acknowledge Bo for his words, let's put this to rest, and I can agree with that. But moving forward, our system is flawed, when it comes to situations like this, so it's something that we really do need to put on our plate and handle. And I'd like to put this particular situation to rest myself, but and I just want to inform you guys that I knew nothing about all these details until tonight coming in, and I know you guys are wondering, they are my family too, through my wife, and they've treated me great with love throughout the years, almost 20 years. So, I have a lot invested in them as they do with me. But even with your family, Sammy, I have a lot of respect for them, and I have friends, I see Angel's here. So, I mean, I'm not trying to take sides, but, to prevent anything from reaching this level again, we definitely need to look at this and tweak it, even if we're going to the Declaration of Respect, which I put out a statement earlier, but, that I believe in it, but it does need a little more teeth for sure. So I just wanted to say that. It sucks that we got to this point, but, the words have been said and feelings have been put out there, but, I'm not going to take sides in this. We're in a difficult position as it is, being on this council. So, my colleague, my family, I'm just in between a rock and a hard place, but, my heart is with everyone, and moving forward, you know, we need to have a better process, you know, a more formalized process, and try not to air it out to all our citizens to show our dysfunction. You know, I get that
Right.
a lot of tribes have dysfunction, but you know, we have many more issues in front of us, you know, that we're facing, you know, could be perilous, you know, so that's where we should put our focus, but we should also take care of these before it gets to this point. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Before we close, thank you for that, George. So before we close, I would just like to just read just a portion of my writings last Friday afternoon. And it said, you know, apologizing, it was a letter that I sent out to the people that sent the letters to President Nuttall. And it said on Friday, April the 4th, 10 days ago, Vice President Canuho asked President Nuttall for an update, and we didn't get one. So the following Friday, April 11th, I met with Rosario Leading Fox to share my sad story about this and to ask for prayer for healing for not only me, but for you. I thought maybe to feed your family and explain all of this, but thought to write it out to provide transparency and truthfulness of my efforts to get to the bottom of it, to find out really what was going on and to have some type of closure. And with all of this said, I'd like to apologize to each of you for your hurt, disappointment, and feeling victimized. I, too, am feeling all of these emotions. I am deflated and feel that this is so very political and ugly. But to each of you, I am so very sorry for all of it and hope that we can once again have our personal and professional relationships, forgiveness, and can move forward as loving relatives and glad to see each other again. For those that know me, I am truly passionate, and I love my folks, and that includes you. So thanks for the opportunity and the grace to hear me. That was my letter to them last week.
President Nuttall, if I may, I want to address the Councilwoman Chapman. I didn't get to say hello to you earlier, so hello to you and Noah Rosado Adson and members of my family, our guest, Mr. Kimball. You know, I want to share with you, you know, it's my second day physically on the job. And some of you might be thinking, geez, is this guy going to stay around? What, you know, but I want to tell you, it feels good to be home among our own people. You know, there's no better feeling. And that feeling doesn't change for me, regardless of what's going on here. Because at the end of the day, when we start the day, we're all Pawnee. When we end the day, we're all Pawnee. And, you know, that just, it really is the way I believe. It's how I try to lead. And I look forward to working with the council, with our staff, with our chiefs, with our community, with our people that we serve. You know, and bringing some of the experiences that I've had. You sit here and talk about, you know, how do we handle this? You know, sometimes you have to bring in maybe an independent. When it involves one of your own, sometimes you got to bring in an independent investigation. You know, we don't have a lot of money, though. I know that here within our own community. So, you know, we have to be cognizant of that as well. You know, again, because you're looking for conflict resolution, you know, skills that people need. And you know, I offer that to you because I've been honored and privileged to serve in a variety of roles throughout, you know, the western part of our country. And my main thing was to bring some of that back here to share with our own people, to help our own people here finally. You know, this is kind of I'm not a young cat, so this is kind of the final chapter for me to come home and to help our own. You know, I've helped a lot of people and been fortunate to be able to do that and feel honored to do that. Now I feel honored and humbled to come home and help our own. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm here to help wherever I can, and it takes a team, though. I don't know everything. I don't know, all of it, but I know that if we surround ourselves with shared knowledge and wisdom and, create synergy among our own people, we've got a lot of great minds in this community that we can put together. I've been busy just looking at, organizational chart and things like that, and trying to figure out, what we're doing, trying to figure out strategic planning. What are we doing for next year and the years beyond, So I'll be having those conversations with you all and hopefully sharing that with our community members and our chiefs and everyone that it involves, because we're here to serve the nation, right? And that's my job as the executive director, to make sure and ensure that the services and the people are served to the best of our ability. So again, I'm going to lead with that every day, and I'm going to lead with that every day. So I just wanted to say those few words and, appreciate it and, look forward to seeing you in the community. So thank you.
Announcements, yes. So for the announcements, we have just a reminder that every Wednesday, the language class will be going on at 6 p.m. with cultural class to follow at the Cultural Learning Center at 657 Harrison Street. Every Tuesday and Thursday, the Four Bands Market will be open from 1 to 6 p.m. On Friday, April 18th, is the Employees Club Easter egg hunt on the campus that will begin at 1 o'clock. The Pawnee Public Schools are also closed that day, and the Pawnee Nation College will be doing their workshop at 1 o'clock that day as well. On Saturday, April 19th, at 9 a.m. is the ICW Child Abuse Awareness event. They'll be doing their sign-ups at 9 and then their walk at 9:30. At 10 a.m. is the Lions Club Easter egg hunt at the Pawnee Bills Ranch, with the Something to Grow About to follow at 11. On the 23rd is the Tihiratsa Sexual Assault Awareness event at 12 p.m. at the courthouse. That's also Administrative Professionals Day, and there will be a cooking demonstration at 12 p.m. at the Elder Center. On April 24th is the Community Agriculture Planning Dinner, 5 p.m. at Rome Chief. The 25th is the Pawnee Nation College Workshop at 1 p.m., and that's also the deadline for quarterly reports for committee, commissions, boards. On April 26th, the Pawnee County 4-H Robotics is doing a bass fishing contest that will start at 6 a.m. and the weigh-ins will be at the Pawnee Lake, and that does come with a registration and an entry fee with it as well. On April 27th is the Keep Oklahoma Beautiful event. It will be at cleaning up the Pawnee Lake. It'll be at 1:30, meeting at the fire station. On April 29th and 30th, the food distribution will be closed for inventory. April 30th is Denim Day. So if everybody could wear denim and show support for victims during Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Some events that are going on at Stonewolf. Every Wednesday is Showers of Cash at 7 p.m. Saturdays are Stacks of Cash at 7 p.m. They also have karaoke on the 25th at 9 p.m. and a comedy night by Emily Razi at 8 p.m. And then the Trading Post, they have every Thursday Raining Cash at 7 p.m. and every Saturday Lightning Free Play Frenzy at 1 p.m.
I hope you guys got all that. Before I come to you, let me just make note too on that substance abuse event that there is a time change. There's been 2 time changes. And so the sign up and registration begins at 9 a.m. as opposed to what's on the flyer. I know that they had sent out the flyer initially and then there was a time change and then now it's 9 o'clock. So I just wanted to note that. Yeah, you did say that, but the initial flyer went out, and so I just wanted to put that out there. Councilwoman Butler?
I just had a few things that are coming up this week. So the Pawnee Community Summit meeting, which is the community members and I think several of us council members are on that. They have their next meeting on the 17th at 10:30. Anyone from the community is welcome to join. We're talking a little bit about the medical needs. I know Councilman Evans is a part of that subcommittee, and we're talking about some recreational things and things going on in the city. So if you want to be a part of that, let me know. You're more than welcome to be invited. Also, I was going to mention that on the 23rd for Admin Professionals Day, we have some really good admin staff that do work here within our executive office and within the Pawnee Nation. And these are the people who you see every day. They're the people that answer the phones. They put in all of the work orders. They put in everything. They do a lot for the Pawnee Nation. And if we could just, I know we got some things planned for them and just want to acknowledge them on that day, but not just that day, but every day, because they make things work. They make sure all this stuff is put together for us. Also, Jamie, I didn't know if we were mentioning the princess crowning on the 26th at 3 p.m. at the Pawnee Nation, or the Pawnee Nation Community Center. We have been in discussions. We didn't have anybody apply except for one person, and that was Miss Cora Pratt. She is our previous reigning princess, and so she will be doing another term. So we're excited about that. She did a really wonderful job, and I look forward to the next year for her to further represent the Pawnee Nation. So that's going to be on the 26th. We should have other information coming out. Sorry if I spilled the beans but that's in a couple of weeks. So, but do want to congratulate her on that and the Princess Committee for doing all of the work that they are doing to keep that going. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Councilwoman Hare.
Yeah, I didn't really have an announcement. I just wanted to speak to what our new executive director said, Virgil, and welcome him. I really like your approach on what your, how you want to approach the position. And I had the honor of serving as executive director under your auntie, our first woman president. And it was challenging. It offered a lot of opportunities, and I learned a lot from her, and I loved her. And so I also I'm thankful for the respect that the family showed me in allowing me to be part of her services, with the eulogy. And so anyway, I just wanted to remember her tonight as I see you sitting there. So welcome to Pawnee Nation, and we look forward to working with you.
Anybody else? If not, we'll go on to item number 10. Oh, yes, Brian.
I just want to say welcome, Virgil. I'm back here. Glad to have you. Appreciate your words.
Likewise.
Thank you, Treasurer Chapman. Brian?
All right, I got a while. No, I'm just kidding. Just briefly, I don't know if y'all are going to have a council meeting before the 5th, but wanted to just extend the offer. I know we are having our ribbon cutting for the brand-new behavioral health facility. This is open to the community as well, starting at 10 a.m. on May 5th. So it will be right out front. So just wanted to extend that offer out. So thank you.
Out front of the Behavioral Health Center?
Yes. Not IHS. The new building.
Thank you. No further announcements. Item number 10, set the next meeting date. We have the next meeting date at May 6th at 5:30 p.m. And item number 11, we have adjournment. Get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Councilwoman Butler, seconded by Vice President Canujo. Call for the vote. No.
Jordan Canujo,
Yes.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare, Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
We are adjourned at 8:19 p.m.